So guys, Manchester United 0, Newcastle 2. This is your full-time reaction from Old Trafford on this Monday evening on match day 19 of the 24-25 Premier League season. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 2. Manchester United are in massive, massive trouble after tonight, and people need to wake up and start smelling the coffee. Manchester United are in danger of going down. We are in deep, deep trouble of getting relegated. People think that we're not in trouble, need to wake up. The reality is we're 7 points above the bottom three after tonight's results, with results around us also not going our way. People think Manchester United will be too good to stay up. Manchester United will get out of this mess. Manchester United will survive. The reality is, after tonight, based on the performances, based on the results, we've lost our last 4 games in a row. We've conceded 11 goals in our last 4 matches. How are Manchester United fans feeling confident that we're going to get out of this mess? Please tell me with some optimism, with some confidence, that Manchester United are going to survive. We're 7 points above the bottom three. Manchester United are in a relegation fight. We could go down. And the reality is, after tonight, based on that performance, we do deserve to go down. We do deserve to get relegated. Manchester United need to face the ultimate demise. They need to face the ultimate embarrassment of world global football. That a club like Manchester United going down to the Championship is a serious, serious thing that could happen. It would be the biggest nightmare for the fans, for the supporters, and this might end the club. If Manchester United go down and Manchester United get relegated, this might destroy the club from top to bottom. And I don't think there will be any coming back. There will be no recovery. There will be no miracle that Manchester United will ever get out of this demise. Because I don't think we'd even cope in the Championship. I don't think we'd be able to even compete with clubs that are in that at the moment. Because they're going to look at Manchester United and no one's going to fear playing them away from home. No one's going to fear playing them away. No one's going to come to Old Trafford and fear they're going to get absolutely hammered. That was abysmal, and I completely agree with Manuel tonight. That was absolutely abysmal. That was probably the worst 20 minutes of football that I've watched Manchester United play ever. I've seen bad performances. I've seen bad results, but that first 20 minutes was absolutely pathetic. There is no effort. The players are clearly not trying. They have given up. They've waved the white flag. They don't want to bother anymore. And the problem is, again, I'm still going to state, Ruben Amorim's picking these players. Ruben Amorim's picking this team. He picks that lineup. He picks that team selection. He has those options off the bench. And still, no matter what Ruben Amorim's trying to do, he can't achieve what he's trying to do. And that is because of these players. They're clearly not up for change. They're clearly not up for a new direction. They're not up for a new way of Manchester United becoming a bigger and better football club again. And the problem is, both goals tonight that we conceded have been the biggest problems in our last 3 games. And those problems, once again, have come to full admission. The problems that we've had, again, at time and time again, have come to fruition tonight. Both goals are laughable. Both goals are absolutely laughable from a defensive point of view, to a lack of quality and a lack of teamwork. Clearly, these players aren't playing as a team. Clearly, these players are not performing as a unit. Clearly, these players are all in it for themselves. There's clearly player FC. There's clearly players that are only in it for themselves. And there's clearly players that can't be bothered to go anymore. And Ruben Amorim, I feel sorry for the guy. I still back him. He still has my full support as the manager. But at this rate, there's going to come a point where Ruben Amorim is going to look at the situation and he's going to look at Manchester United as a whole. There's only so much he can do. There's only so much this manager can do with these players. And if these players are not up for it, then I think Ineos and the Glazers have got to take some very, very swift decisions. And those decisions have not got to be taken lightly. Those decisions have got to be brutal from the top to the bottom of this football club. These decisions need to be open. These decisions need to be honest. And Manchester United need to get out of this mess, because if we go down and we get relegated, I don't know how Manchester United are going to be able to survive anymore. I do not know how Manchester United will be able to survive as a football club. This could finish them off. This relegation could finish them off. And people are going to keep on saying, we're not fighting relegation, we're not going to go down. Then someone in this fan base, please tell me, with your confidence, your view, and your opinion, how are you going to get Manchester United out of this mess? Tell me one thing that Manchester United are going to do right to get themselves out of trouble. Because with results not going our way, and with our defeat tonight, I kept saying on the look ahead, the more the results teams pick up around us, they're going to start closing the gap. They're going to start chasing down Manchester United. We're on 22 points from 19 games. We are 35 points off where we should be as a football club. That isn't good enough. We should be beating teams like Newcastle at home and Nottingham Forest and your Bournemouths. But the team, I don't know what's wrong with them. I clearly don't understand where it's all going wrong again. Is there excuses? Is there players that have clearly don't get what the manager's trying to do? Because tonight, for me, in my view, there looked like a massive disconnect between player and manager. There looked like a completely disconnected team that didn't know what to do. These players didn't really know how to break this Newcastle team down. There was players that were trying ridiculous and ludicrous stuff that was making Manchester United's performance on the pitch look even worse. And Emmanuel has said, I would take relegation to get the Glazers and Ineos out. The only way this club is going to get out of this mess if somehow the Qataris come back in and put in an 11 to 15 billion pound bid to buy this club out of Ineos and the Glazers. Because the club's losing money every single day. It's not in the thousands, it's in the hundreds of thousands. This club is losing money every single day. And this might be the reality. Relegation might be the only way that Manchester United get Ineos and the Glazers out. It might be the only way. It might be the only solution. And if that is the only thing we've got, we are going to have to face it. That's going to have to be the reality. And if Manchester United have to go down, if we have to get relegated, we are going to have to face fact. We're going to be a laughing stock. We're going to be a joke. And the situation we will find ourselves in the Championship is going to get even worse. And I don't want us to go down. I don't want us to get relegated. And the problem is, if you go down, there's certain wage brackets that Manchester United have got to abide to with certain players beyond certain contracts. Manchester United would get done. Manchester United would get a points reduction because they would be breaking at least 50 Championship rules because of their wage budget and the debt that they are in. Manchester United's situation could get a lot worse if they go down, and it could absolutely doom the club. The club is on the verge of liquidation, and it could finish us off if we go down. And I don't think the Premier League would survive either, because if a club like Manchester United go down, and if they get relegated, the money that Manchester United won't be able to provide to the Premier League next season, the Premier League could also fold as well, because Manchester United bring that revenue. They bring that money to the whole division. A lot of those clubs in the Premier League can't really survive without the top six somewhere being involved in that situation. And the problem is, if we need to get ourselves out of the situation, which we're probably quite close to getting done, then the reality is relegation's getting closer. Doomsday is arriving, and the doom and the fate that we will suffer is going to be a massive hard pill to swallow. It's going to be an emotional day. It's going to be an awful day. And it's going to be a really dark day for this football club if relegation does get confirmed come the end of May. Because after tonight, we didn't expect Ipswich to beat Chelsea. We did not expect Ipswich to beat Chelsea at home. No one expected Chelsea to get outplayed by Ipswich. And people will say, we can't focus on teams around us. The reality is we have got to start looking beneath us now. We've got to start looking beneath us at this current moment in time, because teams are picking up results. Teams are picking up points. That is a huge, huge result for Ipswich. And I know it's got nothing to do with our result. Our result matters nothing because we've lost tonight and we deserve to lose. We did not deserve to win that game. There was no coming back from 2-0 down. The players gave up. And people say, we need to win and focus on ourselves. But when we can't do that, and we don't pick up points and we're not picking up results, and you've got everyone below us starting to pick up results, and they gradually start climbing up that Premier League table, all you've got to do is Man United drop a place, Man United drop a place, and Manchester United drop a place. We are 6 places above the bottom 3. We are 7 points above Ipswich. Ipswich could survive. Leicester could survive. The only team really that relegation is going to be confirmed is Southampton. They're the only team at the moment, are going to confirm to go straight back down to the Championship. I am not feeling confident now that we can survive in this division. I'm really not. And you've got channels like the United Stand not panicking, not worrying about the situation. I think that channel has got to start having a hard, long look at itself with its content providers, and their opinions and views have got to start being a bit more realistic and a bit more open. You don't think we're in a relegation fight. You don't think we're going to go down. The way we've been performing and the way our results have been, you're basically telling me that you feel confident that Manchester United are going to get out this mess. You're telling me we won't go down. You're telling me we won't get relegated. Based on what? Based on what hope and what promise and what optimism do you have as a Manchester United fan that you think this club can survive? Please give me a valid reason why you think Manchester United won't go down. Because at this moment in time, we do deserve to go down. We do deserve to get relegated. The problem is the club is broken from top to bottom, and Amram again has become the puppet. Amram is going to become the scapegoat. Amram will be blamed for the problems. Amram will be blamed for the results. And again, he is picking this team. He is picking these players. He is picking this selection that he thinks is best to go with. He is rotating like I've never seen rotating before. I've never seen more rotating than the Magic Roundabout. Like, I've never seen a manager rotate this team as much as I've seen in my lifetime. I've never seen a manager rotate the amount of options that he's currently got. I've never seen a manager change the lineup so much. I've never seen a manager change the options off the bench so much. I've not seen a manager really stick with his best team. I've not seen a manager stick with his best players. And I look at that team tonight, and I look at that selection. Half of them that played against Tottenham, half of them that played against Bournemouth, and half of them that played against Forest and Arsenal got another chance again tonight. Amram is picking them. You've got to blame him for picking the players. And people will say, what else do you want him to do? What else are you expecting this manager to change? What are you trying to get out of the manager that you want different with your view and your opinion? What I want Amram to do is start putting his foot down. I want Amram to grow some balls and show some cojones and actually show, I'm not going to pick these players. I'm going to put my foot down and say no. I am not going to pick the problematic issues at this football club. I am not going to pick players that aren't good enough. But he massively shot himself in the foot tonight. You've got no midfield because your 2 best midfielders both pathetically got sent off and the other picked up a 5th yellow card to be suspended for tonight. You've lost UGARTE and Fernandes, those 2 options that are guaranteed to be on Manchester United's team sheet for the midfield options. You did not have. And you've got people moaning, you've got people complaining about how crap the midfield was. I'm not being rude, but fans have got to wake up. Amram had no options off that bench. And people were saying, bring Collier on, bring Collier on, bring Collier on. You need to wake up. Fatality, Collier isn't fucking good enough. He will never be good enough. He won't reach the levels. He won't reach the heavy heights. You need to understand, a lot of these players should not be at this football club. You've got young players that will never reach that level that any manager or any coach wants out of them. They will never reach that consistency. They will never reach that talent that that player thinks they have because they're not good enough. And people will come back and say, well, they're not given a chance. They're not given an opportunity. It's because they're not good enough. That is the reality of today's news. They're not fucking good enough. And people still stand by them. If they're not good enough, you need to be calling them out. And people will blame the midfield selection. And the midfield is a big problem. But I don't know what you're expecting Amrin to do. I don't know what you're expecting Amrin to whiz up and wave his magic wand. I don't know what you're expecting him to pick from. He had no other options except to pick Casemiro. He had no other options to pick Eriksen. He had no other options. And again, in my view, the only option he realistically had off that bench was MAINOO. And everyone thought, including myself, when he picked up that knock against Wolves, I thought he was going to be out, but he's available. But I don't get, you're trying to get rid of Casemiro, you're trying to get rid of Eriksen, you've got MAINOO on the bench, and you're favouring Eriksen and Casemiro in this situation. I don't know what MAINOO's done wrong not to start. I know he's not shown the form that he did last season. I don't know if that's down to some of the injury problems he's had. I don't know if it's down to Gareth Southgate ruining him and embarrassing him in his England career. I don't know why MAINOO gets treated the way he does. I don't understand why MAINOO is mistreated by some fans and some supporters and even the press and the media. I don't understand where MAINOO is meant to get in this team where you've got Eriksen and Casemiro, who both really should be in a retirement home on crutches because they can't fucking do anything. And you've got MAINOO on the bench and you've got those two ahead of him. I don't get why Amrin shot himself in the foot tonight because clearly that midfield did not work. The first 20 minutes, you would have thought we need to make subs now. And I think for me, in my view, Amrin left it way too late. When we went 2-0 down, for me, there was no immediate response. There was no immediate reaction. For me, Amrin left it way too late. Soon as the second goal went in, the game was gone. We waved the white flag. We down-tooled. We gave up. Why Amrin left it so late to make any kind of sub to transform Man United into a winning machine? People were waxing lyrical that, MAINOO's done really well since he's came on. MAINOO looks very, very comfortable. MAINOO looks like he's the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. I'm not being disrespectful to MAINOO. He is one of my favourite players, but what did you see that I didn't? I don't think we looked comfortable when he came on. I don't think MAINOO really added anything to change that performance around. I didn't see MAINOO really create anything of an attacking sense. I thought it was just the same old first half performance. I don't think he made an immediate change. I didn't really see a good response from the player. I don't think, in my view, he should have been on the bench. I think it probably would have been better starting him ahead of Casemiro and Eriksen instead. But I didn't really see him light up trees. I didn't exactly see him turn the Christmas tree lights on. It looked quite fragile. It looked quite a lethargic midfield performance. It looked quite just a basic one, pass the ball right, pass the ball correctly, don't make too many midfield mistakes. Just do the midfield job that he's been brought on to do. Because the damage is already done. The midfield damage was already done by Amrin picking Casemiro and Eriksen in the first place. And I think if you would have had Mount available, if you would have had Fernandes and UGARTE available, we all knew what that midfield would have been. We all know what the options would have been in that team. And Casemiro and Eriksen would have been nowhere near that team selection. They would have been nowhere near starting that game. And both of them have got ahead of MAINOO. And for me, as a manager of Manchester United, that was the wrong decision. That was the wrong thing to do. And I think that really cost us that midfield battle. It was getting absolutely run through by bloody Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali. For me, who are both better than Eriksen and UGARTE. No, Eriksen and Casemiro, sorry. Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali are both better midfielders than Casemiro and Eriksen by an absolute mile. Newcastle have got a quality midfield, and people can't see how badly they were ripping through our midfield tonight. Our midfield was like a ghost. It was just getting walked through. You might as well got Casper the Ghost to start in the midfield tonight because our midfield was invisible. There wasn't any midfield there. It was just getting run past. It was just getting run through like a train coming through a busy train station with loads of passengers waiting on the platform. You might as well have been on the island of Slodal with Thomas the Tank Engine, because that midfield of Newcastle's was basically coming through like Gordon. Like, you know, that midfield was going to get walked through. You knew the pace, you knew the quality, and you know the speed and the precision and the quality of assists and passing of the way Newcastle control their midfield from their defence to their attack to the midfield. It's absolutely quality written all over it, and we could not cope tonight because Bruno Guimaraes and Sonali saw the vulnerability. It wasn't exactly very hard to pick out. The vulnerability of our midfield is fucking incredible. The vulnerability is incredible. But again, I would defend Amram in some aspect that what did you want him to do? He doesn't have UGARTE. He doesn't have Fernandes. Two of our better midfield options are not in that team. He should have realised MAINOO would have been the better option. That is on the manager. That is on him for not pushing MAINOO to start. For me, that was the wrong decision. And I think the manager's got to take consequences from that, really, that he's basically prevented Manchester United's midfield being a lot more stable and a lot more controlled. But unfortunately, when you've got two retirement home pensioners in Eriksen and Casemiro, I don't know what you're expected to do. I don't know how we were meant to win that game. I don't really see how Manchester United were meant to get over the finish line and get any point from that game. Because the midfield absolutely fucking cost us. And I think the way the two Newcastle goals happened, we have to talk about it. And again, our defence is lazy. Our defence is laughable. Our defence is, quite frankly, incredibly shit. Both goals defensively are massively, massively embarrassing. And again, you have got to blame Mazraoui. You've got to blame Maguire. You've got to blame Martinez. And really, you've also got to blame DALOT in some aspects. And you've got Gary Neville absolutely waxing lyrical over the first Newcastle goal. You've got Gary Neville sat on Sky Sports absolutely waxing lyrical over who should be to blame for the first goal. Unfortunately, Gary Neville has got a massive agenda with certain Manchester United players. He's got a massive view, a massive opinion, and he's got a big gob. And he's got a big mouth. Gary Neville doesn't like it when no one agrees with him. Gary Neville doesn't like it when someone comes up against him. Gary Neville doesn't like being told when he's in the wrong. And I think for me, Gary Neville has got quite a lot wrong on his commentary skills tonight. I don't know what game he's watching. I don't know what he thinks Manchester United are trying to be. I don't know what Gary Neville's best interests are for this football club, especially with him being a club legend. You would have thought he would have cared a bit more and be a bit more open and honest. The first goal is not just bad defending by Martinez and Maguire. It's also bad defending for Mazraoui in the first place. Like, Mazraoui has been a bargain at 12 million. He's been an absolute bargain since he's been here. He's been a bargain of a signing. You would have thought 12 million, you've absolutely snapped Bayern Munich's hand off, and you've got a very, very good right wing back. You've got a very good right back going forward who is miles better than Wan-Bissaka and miles better than Diego Dalot. But lately, Mazraoui's not like the same player. He doesn't look like the player that first came into the club. And he looks now very, very uncomfortable, and he looks very, very vulnerable defensively. But for the first goal is massively poor defending from Mazraoui's side. You've got to blame him for allowing a quality player like Lewis Hall, who Newcastle got on loan from Chelsea, and obviously they've taken up the option of buying him for 40 million. And again, Lewis Hall's even getting into the England team. Lewis Hall's now playing competitive international football for the full men's England first team. You would have thought Mazraoui would have closed down the cross. You would have thought Mazraoui would have put a cross in. Not a cross in. You would have thought Mazraoui would have closed the cross down. You would have thought Mazraoui would have blocked the cross. You would have thought he would have put a tackle in. And he does neither of the options that need to happen in that situation. For me, that is lazy asshole defending. It's pathetic defensive rate. And it's pathetic defensive work. You can't be allowing a quality player like Lewis Hall put a cross into your box. You can't stand there and let that happen. He doesn't even try to win the ball. He doesn't even put a block in. He doesn't even try and put a tackle in. He basically just lets Lewis Hall do his thing. He just lets him put a free cross and a free ball and a high cross into our penalty area. And he doesn't even bother to try and close him down, to try even put a tackle in, put a block on the cross. He doesn't even try to put his body on the line. He basically just allows Lewis Hall to have that time, to have that space in front of him. And Lewis Hall has got all the time in the world on that left-hand flank on the Man United penalty area to put a free high cross into our box, because Mazraoui can't be bothered to put a tackle, can't be bothered to close the ball down, can't be bothered to put his body on the line, and basically just stands there and admires the quality of the cross that Lewis Hall puts into our box. And surprise, surprise, when you've got a deadly striker like Alexander Isak, who has been phenomenal ever since Newcastle brought him, ever since Newcastle signed him, because they've got rich owners who put money into the club instead of taking money out. You know the quality, you know what Isak can do, you know the goals he can score, and you know the threat that he is in anyone's penalty area. When you've got a good cross like that, you would have thought Maguire and Martinez would both respond for Isak being a threat in your penalty area. You would have thought, again, Isak would not be allowed all that space. You would have thought Manchester United's players would have acknowledged between each other that Isak's in your penalty area. He's going to be a threat from the air, and he's also going to be a threat from quite low with his feet. You would have thought Maguire and Martinez would have come to some conclusion that we've got to prevent Isak from having a free shot on goal. We've got to prevent him from having a free header on goal. Because when you've allowed a free cross, there's an attacking option, an opportunity there for Isak to anticipate. Because Lewis Hall's not been challenged for the cross, Alexander Isak has anticipated that cross. He's anticipated that attacking moment that he's got on the goal. He's anticipated it beautifully. You've got to give him that. He's absolutely anticipated it beautifully. And again, you've got to blame Maguire and you've got to blame Martinez, because what happens from the Isak goal, Isak spots there's a massive gap. You've got Maguire here and you've got Martinez here. But what you don't realise is there's a massive gap in the middle of them. There's a massive, big fucking space between both defenders that has got Isak's eyes lighting up like a bloody set of Christmas tree lights. You've got him sat there anticipating that gap. You've got him sat there anticipating that space that Maguire and Martinez have left directly in the middle of both two centre-backs. And he's basically got a free header and a free shot on goal, because neither Maguire or Martinez have noticed a big, massive gap between both of them. The gap between both of them is too big. The gap between both of them is too huge. You've got to be closing down that space. You've got to be closing down that gap that you've naively left for Alexander Isak to attack that space. And Isak's anticipated it. He's seen that cross, he's seen where the ball's going, and he's seen the space that Maguire and Martinez both fucking leave for Isak to attack the ball. Free shot on goal, free header on goal. And surprise, surprise again, look who just stands there in goal and lets it go in. Onana doesn't even try to save it, doesn't even try to attempt to keep it out. Onana just stands there like a fucking statue again. You might as well create a sculpture of Onana in cement and stick that in goal. Because the amount of times when you see Onana try to keep the ball out, try to prevent the ball from going in the net, the amount of shots that he is so flat-footed to, he doesn't even bother to try and keep out. He doesn't even bother to try and attempt to save. He basically just allows that attacking option to happen. And he allows basically an open net to aim at. And again, you would have thought by now Onana would have learnt from his defensive goalkeeping mistake from the last 3 games. Unfortunately, yet again, from the last 3 games to today, It's 4 defeats in a row with the same old goalkeeping mistakes. He just stands there. And as a goalkeeper, you can't just fucking stand there and not to try and save it. You can't just stand there. I know you're a flat-footed goalkeeper. That's no excuse. I'm not taking excuses anymore because I've seen excuses before from Manchester United, and I'm not having it anymore. I'm done with the bullshit. I'm done with the PR. I'm done with the excuses. I'm not having the crap that comes out of Manchester United's mouth anymore. As a goalkeeper, you can't just stand there and let Isaac attack that, knowing that you've seen Maguire and Martinez directly in your eyesight, that you've seen the gap that they've both left for Isaac to attack in. Onana should be shouting and communicating to them, look at the space you've left. Look at the gap that you've allowed Isaac to attack that space. And you've just allowed him to do it. That is, in my view, that's inexcusable. From the goalkeeper to those two centre-backs, that is really, really pathetic. There's a lack of communication, there's a lack of leadership, and there's a lack of responsibility being taken from these players. There's a lack of responsibility. These players do not want to be held responsible. You can't defend like that. And you can't defend crosses like that either. You can't just stand there and not do fuck all. You've got to anticipate Newcastle are going to be threat from the air and from the low of their feet. You've got to anticipate Isaac's a threat. And Man United don't do it until it's too little too late. And Isaac's got the lead. Isaac's given Newcastle the goal because we've made it look too fucking easy. And that was 4 minutes in. That's 4 minutes in inside the first half. That's 4 minutes in. And we've not hardly kicked off for long. 4 minutes in, we're 1-0 down. And do you know what? For me, as soon as we went 1-0 down, heads dropped, morale dropped, confidence went, there's no coming back. And you think to yourself, we've got to somehow try and get back into this. We've got to somehow try and rescue this game. We couldn't afford a defeat tonight. People need to understand this. We couldn't afford another defeat. We could not lose this game tonight. And again, we've lost. And I don't see how anyone can get confidence out of this performance. From the first half to the second half, I want someone to tell me, please, someone just tell me, how are you expecting Man United to get out of this mess now? Because I would love to hear your views. I would love to hear your opinions because that is what it's about. It's a very, very open channel and a very open community to be part of. But it's just a defending. It's laughable. At Premier League level, you would have thought Manchester United would have learnt their lessons, and we don't. We just shoot ourselves in the foot even more. And again, going 1-0 down is embarrassing at home to Newcastle. It really, really is. And I'll tell you who's going to love it, Ant and Deck. They're going to be sat there absolutely pissing their pants. They've just hosted I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and they're going to be sat there fucking getting so excited right now because they've beaten Manchester United, because they're both Newcastle fans and they've beaten Manchester United at Old Trafford. It is so soul-destroying at the minute, and you think to yourself, Manchester United do not make the situation even worse. But yet again, for the second goal, watch the midfield get walked through. Watch Bruno Guimaraes go and watch Tonali play simple passes to each other, to Jacob Murphy, back to their players, and then they get the ball to Anthony Gordon on the left-hand flank of Manchester United's penalty area. And once again, surprise, that you've got Anthony Gordon against Mazraoui, who was at fault for the first goal, as well as Maguire, as well as Martinez, and as well as Mazraoui. Mazraoui is up against Anthony Gordon. And you would have thought, don't let Anthony Gordon cut inside of you. Don't let Anthony Gordon put a dangerous cross in. Don't let Anthony Gordon put a dangerous quality cross inside your penalty area, because you need to learn the mistakes from the first goal. And what does Mazraoui do? He lets Anthony Gordon cut inside. He lets him do it. Doesn't bother to tackle Gordon. Doesn't close down the cross. Doesn't put a block in. And doesn't put his body on the line. And Anthony Gordon is allowed a free cross, again inside our penalty area, because Mazraoui, again, can't be fucked to do his job. to do his defensive work that Amrin wants out of him. And Mazraoui is, in that moment, again, very, very fucking lazy not to do his job, not to do his defensive work, and not to close that cross down. You would have thought by the first mistake for the first goal, don't repeat it. Don't do it again. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. And again, he does it twice in one game. When you've got players that can't be fucked, who can't be bothered to close that ball down, they need to be out of this team because they're lazy, lazy pricks. And it's not good enough at Premier League and Manchester United level. It isn't fucking good enough anymore. And when you've got players in individual quality not being shown because these players can't be asked to do their job, this is where the problems are. When you've got players who can't be fucked, when you've got players who can't be bothered, when you've got players who do not want to do it. That was Mazraoui in an instant tonight for not closing down Anthony Gordon. You can't just let him attack you and allow him to cut inside on his right foot and put a cross like that into your penalty area. That's fucking so simple defending. It's really, really easy to defend that situation. You put a block, you put your body on the line, or you try and win the ball and you put a tackle in and go on the counter-attack. But you just kept allowing Anthony Gordon to attack that situation because Mazraoui can't be fucked. That, for me, is inexcusable. From a player that has been so good so far for us, the last 4 games, he's been massively, massively fucking exposed. And it isn't good enough anymore. It's not good enough. It may have worked out at the beginning, but now look how it's now working out for us. Look at the situation we are now in. When you've got players who can't defend, get the fuck out of Manchester United Football Club. Because again, I will keep saying we are going to be here with or without you. We don't need you. And I think for me tonight, the writing on the wall for Mazraoui is getting closer. 4 games and the same old mistakes. Why is he not being dropped? It's because we've got no one else. We then start with Dalot, who again didn't really show any quality, did he? And people needed to learn quite quickly about Dalot. And it's taken nearly 8 seasons since Mourinho to realise that Dalot was never good enough. And people didn't want to call out Dalot. That Dalot was good. Dalot was quality. And now look, where's the Diego Dalot fan club tonight? They've gone. The Diego fan club have seized. They've seized existence because they know they've been exposed by Dalot because he's shit. And we don't have any other right back except for Mazraoui because Dalot is shit. So Mazraoui is basically the only decent right back we have at this football club. He's the only one we've got. We don't have anyone else. Only got Mazraoui. We don't have anyone else. We're then stuck with Dalot. And again, who's at fault for a moment of attacking threat when that ball from Anthony Gordon's put in our box? Martinez again. Martinez should have learned. Don't let anyone out leap you. Don't let anyone out jump you. Don't leave space. Don't leave a gap. And what does Martinez do? Martinez was meant to be the problematic problem solver for our defence, for our back three. This was meant to be the solution. This was meant to be problems that were no longer going to cause Man United defensive issues. What does Martinez do in that situation? He doesn't anticipate the run from Jollington. He doesn't anticipate that Jollington is going to attack him and attack that Manchester United goal. He doesn't see that Jollington is going to anticipate the ball from Anthony Gordon at the speed and the pace that Jollington anticipates Gordon's cross from. And unfortunately, when Martinez realisation that Martinez has seen that cross from Gordon, Jollington has pounced on it like a bloody panther and attacked that ball with his head. And again, Martinez has got his back turned away. Martinez is basically like this, right? Martinez is facing our goal. He doesn't realise, but behind him is Jollington. When you leave that space and when you don't realise, because you're looking at Onana and focusing on our goal, when you don't look at the Newcastle player who is attacking our goal and you don't anticipate he's going to attack us, you've got to anticipate any Newcastle player is always going to be a threat on goal. But when you've got your back turned and facing your own goal and you don't realise Jollington is behind you, it's already too little too late. You've allowed again yourself to be exposed for a really, really shit defensive performance when you're allowing Joelinton to attack you because you've got your back facing your own goal and you don't realise Joelinton's behind you. And what's he do? Gets a free header on goal, free shot on goal. And again, it does come off his arm. The goal does come off his arm. And it did get looked at by VAR. The problem you've got there is he heads the ball onto his arm. You can't really look at that on VAR. You can't really disallow that goal. It's a difficult cross. It's a difficult attacking moment for a player. And again, maybe it should have got disallowed, but I don't know what Joelinton was meant to do in that situation. Like, when the ball gets headed from his head onto his arm, it's not really his fault. It's not really his fault. He probably didn't really want to anticipate the way he attacked that ball with his head in the first place and probably wanted to get a cleaner header on the Anthony Gordon cross. But unfortunately, it did go off his arm. But for me, it's gone off. It's really gone off under his armpit. The ball has gone off from his arm under to his armpit, and the armpit's gone into, and the ball's gone off under the armpit into the goal. So there wasn't really anything really for Joelinton to do there. And Lawrence Amondi Archery said they don't press, they put the spirit of playing to score. I don't understand why. And again, Lawrence makes a lot of sense, just like a few Man United fans have made a lot of sense on this channel in the last few weeks, in the last few days. Lawrence is right. They don't press, they put that spirit of playing to score. I don't understand why. It's because we're not good enough. We ain't good enough. And I agree with Lawrence on that. I do agree with him. His opinion is correct. His view is right. He speaks the truth, and that's what I like about Lawrence's opinion. And please do subscribe, Lawrence, because I want to get you more on the channel because you speak a lot of sense. This is what this fan base needs. I'm just disappointed how we've defended both goals. And please hit the like button as well. It'd be really appreciated. Lawrence is right. Lawrence is absolutely bang on right there. But I'm just so disappointed by the way we both conceded both of those 2 goals tonight. The defensive work is really, really amateurish. You could put a school team full of 5 to 6 year olds out for Manchester United and they would do a better job. They would put in a better performance. They would show a lot more level, a lot more class. Those players have given up. Based on the 2 goals, both based on the performances in the last 4 games, those players have given up. And the clear mission is one mission and one mission only. It's all Amorim's fault. Let's blame him. Let's blame him for the results. Let's blame him for the performances. Let's not make us look like the bad guys. Let's make him look like the problem. That's the mission from these players, is to get another manager sacked. I do not want to be sat here in this situation in 2 to 3 years' time, having the same conversation over and over and over again, because it's getting boring, it's getting tiring, and to me now it's getting really, 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 really sad that this is the same old cycle repeating itself. And like I kept saying, to compare it to something, remember when Harry Potter found out that the Chamber of Secrets had been open for the 2nd time? History repeated itself. Dobby was right. It happened once and it can happen again. And that is exactly what's happened here. They've brought in a manager that has seen 600 million spent in the last 2 transfer windows on a load of shit that isn't good enough. And Amorim's like, I've got to work with this. This is the crap I've got to work with. Are you joking? Are these the players I've got at my disposal to use? Because if this is this lot, then I'm in big, big trouble. And Amorim is now in big trouble. 4 defeats in a row, 11 goals conceded in the last 4 matches. We are in deep shit. Thank you. You're with me. It's really hurting me seeing Man United team playing how late. It really. Thank you. You're with me. It's really hurting me seeing Man United team playing low class. It was a terrible display. Yeah. It was really, really terrible. That was the first 20 minutes I've ever watched, ever. Going 2-0 down inside 20 minutes, the game was gone. There's no response from the players. The heads have dropped. The morale's gone. The confidence has gone. There was no optimism from anyone to turn that game round. And then it got really toxic in that first half because the substitution of Joshua ZIRKZEE, I don't know if the cheeky response from the fans was directed at ZIRKZEE or it was being directed at the sub for happening because ZIRKZEE's been a load of dog shit. I'm not being rude. We should have never went anywhere near Joshua ZIRKZEE. We should have never brought him to this football club. Whoever scouted our strikers needs therapy. Whoever scouted these players needs drastic help. Because when we're not scoring goals and we're not putting the ball in the net, how are Manchester United meant to win games? How are Manchester United meant to win big performances? How are we meant to get results? Because when we don't score goals, we've gone 4 games now without our strikers putting the ball in the net. Who on earth thought it was a good idea bargaining on bringing ZIRKZEE and Rasmus Højlund to this football club? Whose ever bright idea that was has absolutely screwed us. It's absolutely screwed this football club. Bringing ZIRKZEE and Rasmus was a risk. I never thought these risks would be this shit. But the reality is that they are crap. And again, people are having a go at the fans for slagging off the substitution and being sarcastic in their applause for ZIRKZEE being taken off. I'm sorry. I completely agree with the fans here. I'm on the side of the Man United fans and supporters here. I think we have got every right and every view and opinion to voice our issues with these players. If they're not good enough, they should not be at this football club. I do not blame Ruben Amorim for taking him off. But again, Ruben Amorim picked ZIRKZEE and Højlund together. Whose idea is that? Playing Højlund and ZIRKZEE together was the bright idea to attack Newcastle with tonight. I just don't understand that. I really am struggling to understand why we're playing 2 strikers together who can't score a goal, who can't put the ball into the net. Whose idea is that? Because if it's the manager's, that's concerning. We've gone 4 games now and not one of them has scored a goal. And don't give me the Carabao Cup just because we nearly had an amazing comeback against Spurs. Don't give me, well, at least ZIRKZEE put the ball in the net. But since then, what's happened? What have we actually done? What have we actually produced? We've produced fuck all. We haven't scored goals. And we're basically risking Højlund and ZIRKZEE being the answers. I'm sorry to say, I applaud the ZIRKZEE substitution. I thought it was laughable and I was shocked by the response. But I thought to myself, do you know what? I ain't surprised. I'm on the side of the fans. I'm on the side of the supporters here. I think they've got every right to voice that at ZIRKZEE because it didn't work. It didn't work. Neither Højlund or ZIRKZEE worked. It was stupid. It was very, very naive. That was massively idiotic to go with that selection. That was stupid. Beyond stupid to think that was a good idea to start 2 strikers in the same team, knowing it wasn't working for at all. And then what I did not like was ZIRKZEE goes to the bench. There's a lack of acknowledgement again between the player and manager. You can see there's a toxic thing there between both of them. But what I did not like ZIRKZEE doing is basically walked up to the bench, got his jacket or his coat, whatever you want to call it, his British Heart Foundation clothing, whatever you want to call it. He grabs his coat from the bench and walks down past the fans, past the Stretford end, and basically walks down the tunnel like a sad little baby. And you know what? Someone probably indicated him, you get back out there. You get back out to that pitch. You get back out to the fans and supporters because that is childish. So walk down past the fans and down the tunnel because you got took off because you were dog shit. Don't come at us saying, I don't want to be in that situation. I'm sorry. You were crap. You were crap. You offered us fuck all. And you've gone down the tunnel like a baby. Why have I been taken off? Why have I been subbed? Because you did fuck all. You did absolutely fuck all. I'm sorry. I'm on the side of the fans for expressing their voice tonight. Because it's about time the fans got listened to. It's about time these supporters actually got their voice heard. Because not enough are allowed to do it. Because everyone thinks they know better than everyone else. We need a united fan base and we don't have one. We're shit. Everyone's so disconnected with each other. That's the big problem at this football club. And not enough's getting said. But I think, you know what? I'm not surprised we lost. I'm not surprised by the result. And if anyone's going to get player of the match, it should be the fans and the supporters that had to witness that 93-minute waste of time. 93 minutes of wasted bullshit that Manchester United fans probably could have been doing a lot more fun and entertaining things tonight. Instead, we've had to witness dog shit players who give up more than a sports day race, who wave the white flag, surrender at the easiest time and don't respond, don't react. And you've got certain players who are now jumping on, let's throw our toys out the pram, let's start getting our own way, let Player FC start revolving and evolving again, let's start blaming Amorim, let's make him like the problem. He's making us play this shit. He's making us perform this way. He's using this setup. He's using these tactics. At the end of the day, the biggest problem at this football club is these fucking lazy, arrogant bastards. I'm sorry. I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about their emotions. They deserve every bit of shit that they get called or they get aimed at. I'm sorry. They're letting everyone down. These players ain't good enough, and I'm sick to it. So well done for the fans and supporters for sitting and wasting your time. 93 minutes of crap from Manchester United Football Club yet a fucking again. So I hope you enjoyed the full-time reaction. Please hit the like button, the share button. Please do keep subscribing to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. And remember to always remember the notification bell. Put that bell on at all times so you receive dedicated content. And really now, the last day in 2024 is tomorrow. It's Tuesday, the 31st of December. It's the last day of 2024. And I hope you all enjoy the last day of this year. I hope you all have an amazing new year. I hope 2025 is a lot better for people, including myself, especially what I've had to go through and witness this week. And I hope everyone has a great new year. Enjoy your festive celebration. Still enjoy the new year with your friends and family, whatever you're all doing. Please stay safe. Please be nice and kind. Be nice and kind to each other. And then we'll be doing the Premier League look ahead for our next away game in the league, which unfortunately is away to Arnie Slot's Liverpool next Sunday evening at Anfield, where another 7-up could actually happen, and Liverpool will increase Manchester United's chances of being relegated from the Premier League for the first time in decades. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. Stay safe. Be nice. Be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all legendary. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 2.